Since the end of the Civil War, railroad construction in the United States had been booming. Between 1866 and 1873, 35,000 miles of new track was laid in the United States. Railroads were actually the nation's largest non-agricultural employer, and banks and other industries were putting all their money into railroads. So when the banking firm of J. Cook & Company, a firm heavily invested in railroad construction, closed its doors on September 18, 1873, a major economic panic swept the nation. J. Cook's firm had been the government's chief financier of the Union's military effort during the Civil War. The firm then became a federal agent in the government's financing of railroad construction. The railroad industry involved a huge amount of money and risk. Building tracks where land had not yet been cleared or even settled required land grants and loans that only the government could provide. The nation's first transcontinental railroad was completed in 1869, and entrepreneurs planned on a second, called the Northern Pacific, and Cook's firm was the financial agent in this venture and poured money into it. On September 18th, the firm realized that they had overextended themselves and declared bankruptcy. Mirroring the firm's collapse, many other banking firms and industries did the same. The collapse was disastrous for the nation's economy. A staggering 89 of the nation's 364 railroads went into bankruptcy, and a total of 18,000 businesses failed in only 2 years. By 1876, unemployment had reached a staggering 14%. And it was an economic cloud over Ulysses S. Grant's second term, and he tried to find a solution that would drive it away. At the time, workers and business people argued over what should be done. Grant, settling on a course that would later become the hallmark of the Republican Party, sided with Eastern business leaders and adopted their ideas for easing the crisis. However, when Grant left office in 1877, the crisis still remained. That same year, the Depression set off railroad strikes. Workers all over the country, in response to wage cuts and poor working conditions, struck and prevented all trains from moving. President Rutherford B. Hayes was forced to send federal troops to more than half a dozen states to stop the strikes. In the end, the fighting between strikers and troops left more than 100 people dead and many more injured. Southern African Americans suffered greatly during the Depression. Preoccupied with the realities of falling farm prices, wage cuts, unemployment, and labor strikes, the North became less and less concerned about addressing racism in the South. White supremacist organizations like the Ku Klux Klan, which had been suppressed by punitive Reconstructionist legislation, resumed their campaign of terror against African Americans and Republicans. Violent conflicts erupted, including 1873's Colfax Massacre in Louisiana. By the time the Depression lifted in 1879, Southern white supremacist organizations would already be regaining power.